Slaying Sunnah, Abu Ishaq al-Shatibi's concept of Bid'ah in al-Iʻtiṣām. McGill University, 1999, Montreal, Canada, Asif Saifuddin Jahar. Al-Shatibi's criticism of Sufism was not merely meant to provoke, for it also went to the root of the indicatance, or the indicants. This is his term for adilla or dalil. The indicants of haqiqah, and haqiqah is reality, and majaz. Majaz is the metaphoric in divine law. So it also went to the roots of the indicants of haqiqah and majaz in divine law, the Quran and the Sunnah. The language of law, including haqiqah and majaz, he contends, are both terms which refer to the real and proper indicants, which are not open to ambiguity. Inebriation, sakar, that's being drunk, for example, on the part of the mukallaf, is the cause that invalidates any prayer that he may perform. In this context, insists Shatibi, the meaning cannot be interpreted metaphorically. Desire for wealth, inebriation, defined as shahwa, desire, says Shatibi, often experienced by Sufis during prayer, is not permitted. For him, the metaphorical meaning in this case was not known to the Arabs of the classical period, only the real one. And here in the footnote, the use of metaphoric imagery was often used by Sufis. The random use of the two terms by Sufis is not explicitly mentioned by Shatibi himself, but by the editor of al-Muwafaqat. As a celebrated jurist, Shatibi tailors his argumentation in his Iʻtiṣām on the basis of the legalistic approach he took in al-Muwafaqat. He acknowledges at the beginning of Iʻtiṣām that he was accused by the ulama, and especially by the Sufis, of isolating himself from the jama'ah of the reputable and famous ulama. In preparing his defense, he classifies under 6 headings their reason for accusing him of being a mubdi'. The first and the second categories contain charges that he neglects various forms of dua. The third charge is the accusation of al-Shatibi as isolated from the imams, due to their not mentioning their names during the khutbah. As al-Shatibi himself says, they alleged that I was not accustomed to performing congregational dua after salah. Moreover, he was also accused of abandoning the way of the companions, a charge that must have originated in the Sufi camp, which resented his omission of the names of the 4 companions during the Friday sermon. The 4th, 5th, and 6th charges are vividly articulated by Halak, who has treated Shatibi's Apologia in detail in his groundbreaking A History of Islamic Legal Theories. As Halak indicates, the 4th charge clearly emanated from the jurist camp, which regarded Al-Shatibi as having been stringent in his legal views and as having demanded the application of laws that led to hardship. Shatibi explains that their accusations arise from my consistency in issuing legal opinions which conform to the dominant and widely accepted doctrines of our Maliki school, but they transgress the limits of the school's doctrines by using legal opinions which deviate from the mashhur opinions agreeable to the people and their pleasures. The 5th charge directed at Shatibi is that he publicly preached against some Sufis who held quote-unquote heretical practices which deviated from the Sunnah. Finally, he was accused of deviating from the religious community. To borrow Halak's words, Shatibi realized that this accusation was based on the assumption that the community which must be followed is defined as that of the majority. They, his accusers, do not realize, however, that the upright community is that which follows the example of the Prophet, his companions, and their followers. It is clear that the era in which Shatibi lived was full of Sufis and jurists whose interpretation of the Sharia was adulterated and corrupted. On the one hand, Sufis saw themselves as the revivers of the Sunnah, when in actual fact they imposed excessive legal demands, while on the other, jurists tended to be lax in applying the paradigmatic doctrine, madhab, of substantive law. Shatibi, in this case, occupied a middle-of-the-road position between the two extremes. Before elaborating on the objections to bid'ah on the basis of textual evidence, Shatibi enumerates 5 ways in which it subverts the Shari'iyah. First, he asserts that human intellect is limited in its ability to perceive the real meaning of the word and its public interest. The use of reason in preference to revealed evidence, whether in mundane or ibadah matters, is the seed of bid'ah. The divine law, therefore, is the only vehicle for solving problems of legal relativity while avoiding reliance on personal whim, Shatibi insists. Second, the Shari'iyah represents thorough and absolute virtue, needing neither addition nor subtraction. Third, bid'ah involves the assumption of an attitude which has no roots or basis in the Shari'iyah, with its unequivocal methods and paths. Any transgression of this path, Shatibi contends, is unlawful bid'ah. Fourth, he continues that when the primacy of the mubdi', the one who is ruled by reason or desires, is established over the divine law, bid'ah tends to perpetuate unlawful habits in worship. Finally, as the Shari'ah is absolute and real to Shāṭibī, any desire to subsume the latter to reason thwarts the Prophet's Sunnah and thus constitutes a primary source of bid'ah. Stay tuned for the conclusion of chapter 1 and many more parts.